And now, in the wake of Hurricane Irma, at least 3 million people across Florida are still without power, and parts of the Caribbean are in far worse shape. With us now, we've got New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who later today is going to travel to the U.S. Virgin Islands and survey the damage afflicted by Hurricane Irma. And Governor, we were just talking about Americans want to see things get done, and certainly that pertains especially when hurricanes and other natural disasters come their way. Tell us about what you're doing today.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. I think you're right. Americans like to see things getting done, especially in times of an emergency, right? Put the politics aside, people are in need. And that's what you're seeing in Florida and Texas, southern states, and the U.S. Virgin Islands has really been devastated. I don't know that the TV coverage, frankly, has adequately conveyed the level of damage in the U.S. Virgin Islands, partially because the power was out. But Governor Mapp, who is the governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, actually happens to be from Brooklyn, New York, originally was an NYPD officer. He called and asked for help. The U.S. Virgin Islands doesn't have the same depth of local government that states do in the United States. So he needs help on the assessment, the liaison with the federal government. He needs security assistance. So I said I would come down, we'll do an assessment. We're bringing an assessment team. We'll find out exactly how best to help, what personnel, what equipment, and then we'll send resources forthwith. But it's been devastating for the Virgin Islands.
Hey, Governor Donny Deutsch, good to talk to you, my old friend. And by the way, looking very buff there, I might say.
Oh, stop it,
those
Donny.
guns are looking strong.
Donny,
let me ask you. Let me ask you a question, obviously, because what you're doing right now is what a leader does, and very presidential. And Democratic Party, big holes there. Nobody running the show there. If I was talking to you off camera, I would say, hey, Governor, after you get done with this, and obviously that's what you're talking about today, is there's a big opening for somebody to take control of the Democratic Party. Any thoughts about a presidential run?
Yeah, that's what you would say if we were off camera, Donny, yeah. But we're on camera.
Well, I forgot. You know, I get confused on the red light.
Oh, my God. Little difference, little difference.
I'm sorry. So once again, there's a real opening there, my friend.
Well, look, I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I'm focusing on being the best governor in this state. I have a re-election next year, Donny. And as you know, I'm a linear guy. I focus on one thing at a time. I want to do the best job I can between now and re-election, run for re-election. And I'm not planning any strategy or tactics beyond that. I have my hands full. I have a dream job, and my mentality is very simple. Do what you're doing, do it well, and stay focused, right? You get into trouble in life when the lens gets too wide. Yeah. At least for me, I like to focus on what I'm doing. And I'm out here working. While you guys are sitting around talking and drinking coffee, I'm working.
I know, and we're upset. We haven't even gotten to the Indians winning streak yet. Governor, we've got Professor Eddie Glaude from Princeton here, head of African American Studies, but he has a connection with the Virgin Islands. Very, I think, excited about you going down there helping out. Eddie Glaude.
Right. I lived in, I have an apartment in Mahogany Run, which was hit pretty hard by Irma. I'm thinking about all of those small business owners, Governor, who the storm just simply wiped them out. And we know that the power grid has been damaged tremendously. What do you think about, what can we do? Because we know that the height of the tourist season is coming up. What can we do to help, to bring attention to the island under these devastating circumstances?
Yeah, that is the question. That is the question. And your concern is exactly right. That's why I'm going down. You know, the question is, what is the level of damage? The assessment is everything. Unfortunately, I've been through this too many times, both here in New York and before. Joe remembers, I was the HUD secretary under Bill Clinton. We did the emergency response, not just in this country, but internationally. And you have to start with the assessment. If the grid is damaged, then you have a long-term real problem. If it's just a question of getting the grid back up, that's a different situation. So we don't really know what we're looking at yet, because you actually need a level of sophistication and professionalism to do the assessment. I'm bringing an assessment team today. We'll get a general sense of the physical need, personnel, equipment, etc., and then what to ask the federal government for. If it's just an economic need for small businesses, the federal government has small business relief programs. I'm afraid there may be some infrastructure damage that's going to take time.
All right. Governor Andrew Cuomo, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for bringing attention to the Virgin Islands and other areas that have been so badly impacted by this storm. We greatly appreciate it, and we apologize, as we do for all of our departing guests, for having to take a question from Donnie Deutsch. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.